Right now, beneath the shimmering surface of one of the world's most critical and volatile shipping lanes, something is waiting in the silent darkness. It doesn't move. It doesn't transmit a signal. It makes no sound that a human ear or standard sonar could easily detect. It costs roughly $1,500 to assemble in a basic workshop using technology that has existed for decades, yet it possesses the raw, terrifying power to sink a guided missile destroyer or an aircraft carrier worth over $2 billion. This is the naval mine, hidden, patient, and nearly impossible to find before it strikes. As we navigate the complexities of 2026, with global tensions at a historic high, this threat has never been more relevant or more dangerous. Iran currently holds an estimated stockpile of 5,000 to 6,000 of these clandestine killers, ready to be deployed at a moment's notice into the Strait of Hormuz. This single waterway controls 20% of the world's total oil supply, making it the most important economic artery on the planet. The United States Navy has one primary, grueling, and terrifying mission: find every single one of these mines before they find a ship first. This is arguably the most dangerous job in the military, a game of high-stakes hide-and-seek where the loser doesn't just lose a point, but an entire ship and its crew. Almost nobody talks about this mission because it isn't flashy, but it is the only thing standing between a functioning global economy and a total energy catastrophe. The Strait of Hormuz is a geographic choke point like no other. At its narrowest point, the strait is only 21 miles wide, creating a funnel through which the world's wealth must pass. Those 21 miles represent the thin line between stability and chaos. Every single day, massive tankers carrying Saudi, Iraqi, Kuwaiti, and Emirati oil must navigate this narrow corridor. More crude oil flows through this gap than through any pipeline, any port, or any other waterway on Earth. To the north sits the rugged coastline of Iran. To the south, the jagged mountains of Oman. For 4 decades, Tehran has prepared for a specific scenario: closing this gap. They understand that they cannot win a conventional, open-ocean battle against the full might of the U.S. Navy's carrier strike groups. Instead, they have mastered the art of sea denial. They don't need to defeat the Fifth Fleet in a fair fight. They only need to make the water too dangerous for a commercial captain to risk his vessel. In 1987, during the chaotic tanker war phase of the Iran-Iraq conflict, Iran quietly seeded the strait with mines. The resulting oil tanker attacks triggered what became known as Operation Earnest Will, the largest U.S. naval convoy operation since the Second World War. American warships had to physically escort tankers through the strait, ship by ship, mile by mile, acting as human shields against an invisible enemy. Even with that protection, the danger was absolute. One mine nearly sank a U.S. warship, proving that a low-tech sphere of explosives could paralyze a superpower. Today, the technology has evolved significantly, but the narrow geography remains just as unforgiving. When people think of modern naval warfare, they usually envision hypersonic missiles, stealth fighter jets, and nuclear-powered submarines. However, the grim reality of naval history tells a different story. Since the end of World War II, naval mines have sunk or damaged more U.S. warships than every other weapon system combined. They have proven more effective than torpedoes, more lethal than kamikaze attacks, and more persistent than anti-ship missiles. On April 14, 1988, the USS Samuel B. Roberts, a guided missile frigate, struck a single Iranian mine in the Persian Gulf. The mine was a design dating back to the early 20th century, costing less than a used car, yet the explosion tore a 21-foot hole in the hull, knocked the ship 8 feet sideways, and nearly broke the keel entirely. 14 sailors were wounded, and the ship was saved only by the heroic efforts of a crew that refused to let her sink. That was the result of just one dumb contact mine. Iran's modern inventory is far more sophisticated. Their modern influence mines don't wait for a ship to bump into them. They are equipped with advanced sensors that listen for the specific acoustic signature of an engine or the rhythmic thrum of a propeller. They can sense the magnetic field of a steel hull passing overhead, or even the slight change in water pressure caused by a massive ship displacing thousands of tons of water. Some are even target selective, meaning they can be programmed to ignore the first 3 ships in a convoy, waiting specifically for the 4th ship, perhaps a high-value target like a carrier, before detonating. These mines are the ultimate ambush predators, sitting in total silence for months if necessary, waiting for the perfect moment to strike from below. To understand the challenge, you have to look at the 3 layers of the mine threat. First are contact mines, the classic steel spheres covered in pressure-sensitive horns. Touch one and it detonates instantly. Second are moored mines, which are anchored to the seafloor with a cable and float just below the surface, invisible to the naked eye. Third are influence or bottom mines, the most dangerous of all. These sit directly on the seafloor, often buried in silt or sand, making them nearly impossible for traditional sonar to distinguish from a rock or a discarded shipping container. They use a shaped charge to fire a jet of molten metal and high-pressure gas directly upward, punching through the thinnest part of a ship, its belly. The U.S. Navy's first line of defense against this threat is the Avenger-class mine countermeasures ship. This ship doesn't look like a typical warship. It has no missile batteries or massive gun turrets. It is only 224 feet long and moves at a slow, methodical pace. Crucially, it is built almost entirely out of wood and fiberglass. This design is intentional because many modern mines are triggered by magnetic signatures. A steel hull, no matter how carefully demagnetized, still produces a magnetic footprint that a smart mine can detect. By using Douglas fir and oak, the Navy creates a ship that is almost electromagnetically invisible. On board, a crew of roughly 84 sailors operates some of the most specialized equipment in the world. Sonar operators spend hours staring at high-resolution screens, scanning the seafloor for anomalies. They move slowly because rushing in mine countermeasures doesn't make you faster, it gets you killed. When a suspicious object is found, the Navy doesn't send a human first. They send the AN/SLQ-48, an underwater drone that acts as a remote-controlled bomb squad. It carries cameras and sonar to identify the mine, and then it places a shaped explosive charge to neutralize it. Above the water, the MH-53E Sea Dragon helicopter plays a vital role. This massive helicopter drags a device called an influence sweep through the water, which mimics the magnetic and acoustic signature of a large ship, tricking the mines to detonate safely. Despite all this technology, some mines are placed in areas where simply no machines can go. For those, the Navy relies on its most elite asset, the EOD divers. These individuals undergo a training pipeline that takes nearly 3 years to complete, making them some of the most highly trained personnel in the military. In the dark, murky, and often freezing waters of the Persian Gulf, these divers must work by touch alone. They approach a mine in zero visibility, identify it with their hands, and place a neutralization charge by feel. It is a job that requires nerves of steel and absolute precision. The stakes of this hidden war are higher than most people realize. Iran doesn't actually have to sink a ship to win. They just have to create uncertainty. The moment a mine is discovered in the Strait of Hormuz, maritime insurance for tankers becomes unavailable. Without insurance, no captain will sail, and the flow of oil stops. This would cause global energy prices to skyrocket, leading to a worldwide economic crisis. The mine is not just a physical weapon, it's an economic one. In the 1991 Gulf War, Iraq laid roughly 1,200 mines, which successfully halted a planned U.S. Marine amphibious assault because the risk was simply too high. Iran changed the entire course of a military campaign with weapons that cost less than a single cruise missile. Today, the threat is 5 times larger and significantly more complex. Every time a tanker crosses the strait without incident, it is a silent victory for the crews of the Avenger-class ships and the EOD divers who remain on constant watch. Their success is measured by the lack of headlines. They work in the shadows to ensure that the global economy remains stable and that the most dangerous 21 miles on Earth stay open for business. If you want to understand how modern naval power actually operates behind the scenes, you have to look at the people who face the most dangerous job in the world, ensuring the world's most critical waters remain safe. They move methodically, checking every shadow, because they know that in this game, there is no room for error. Their mission is the silent foundation upon which global trade is built, and it continues every single day, far from the public eye.